Welcome to another episode of Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy and Dino.
And sometimes Jared.
Down the Barrel Podcast is brought to you by the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association
and wolf.report. Wolf.report, a platform dedicated to elevating the voices of Minnesota hunters, trappers, and outdoor enthusiasts. Join us in advocating for responsible wolf management in Minnesota. Share your reports, photos, and stories, and together we will ensure that they are seen by all.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, protecting the future of deer and deer hunting through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation.
Minnesota SCI, first for hunters in the great state of Minnesota.
All right, today we're here with Tony Roettger from the Minnesota chapter of the Safari Club International. Thanks for joining us, Tony.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you're down in the Twin Cities right now, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so SCI, tell us about a little bit Safari Club International.
For those of us that don't know.
Yeah.
Well, oddly, a lot of people don't know SCI, which is sad. So Safari Club International always sounds like it's some African organization, when in reality, it's an American organization. We consider ourselves the largest of all the conservation organizations. We have the largest staff when it comes to lawyers and legislators and things like that. We also have purchased a lot of the other outdoor organizations. For example, FOSFA in South Africa. We also own Texas Trophy Hunters now. So we're part of all of those organizations as well that roll up to us. And Safari Club International is all about hunting rights and protecting our hunting rights for the future of us ourselves, obviously, and then our kids as well. So every day, SCI is on the floor in Washington, D.C., fighting for our rights to hunt. That's what it comes down to. Unfortunately, that safari is part of our name, and it's actually something that our CEO, Laird Hamberlin, has been working on to kind of change that mantra that it's not all about Africa, because most of our work is done here. Yes, we are global. Yes, we do a lot of things on a global scale, but most of our work is done here in the U.S. So much like MDHA, we're broke up into chapters. We've got, I want to say, over 500 chapters, but don't quote me on that. Somebody that might know more, but that's global. We have literally chapters in, I think, most countries, if not multiple chapters in most countries. Minnesota has 4 chapters. So multiple chapters just here in around this state. Wisconsin has, I forget, and Michigan has, I think, pushing 12 now. So that's as far as I can get. There's a lot of chapters of SCI around the U.S. and obviously the world. So a lot in Canada too. So
how many? How many members overall, and then how many members in Minnesota?
Great question. I should have pulled that up. I don't remember.
That's all right.
I know in the Minnesota chapter alone, we have over 400 members.
Okay.
That's just one of the multiple chapters we have here. I know the Superior chapter has 200 and some members. I know some of the Texas chapters have thousands of members. I think SCI as a whole has, I know it's over 100,000 members. I think it's pushing 500, but I'd have to look that up too. It's changed quite a bit.
Well, if it's a global organization.
I'm a regional rep, so I should know better. I'm a regional rep. I should actually know some of those details.
That's quite all right. That sometimes those big numbers are a lot of numbers.
And I'm guessing they change every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, SCI just had their big convention down in Nashville, and I know we grew tens of thousands of members just by having our convention. So, yeah, it definitely changes daily.
Great. So you said there's 4 chapters in Minnesota?
Yep.
So
yeah, we've got. Go ahead.
No, I was curious because I only one I've ever heard of was your guys'. I didn't know there was
the
other
Minnesota chapter,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one in Fargo, which I consider Minnesota. We're trying to get one going in Rochester right now.
Okay.
The Minnesota SCI chapter is located here in Brooklyn Park, I think, is what we consider ourselves, our home base. And then there's the Superior chapter, which is out of kind of the Duluth Superior area there.
Right.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Huh.
And how does that all work then if there's multiple in the state? I mean, do they call themselves the city chapter that they're in? They can't call themselves the Minnesota chapter because you guys are truly the Minnesota chapter, right?
Yeah. Well, that gets fuzzy.
Does it?
You can call it kind of whatever you want.
Okay.
Actually, one of the things SCI is trying to change right now is come up with more creative names.
Okay.
So there's a chapter outside of, it's another one right around the Fargo area, actually, called the Roosevelt chapter. And they're brand new. They came out of nowhere, and they are growing leaps and bounds. I think their membership is pushing 500, if not more already.
Wow.
Their chapter events is really kicking everybody's butt right now for what they're generating from a fund standpoint. It's just a small group of really motivated people that have done a really, really nice job. Like I say, that chapter came out of nowhere just about a year and a half ago. So, we can pick them up and start them kind of everywhere, which is kind of, so I work as a regional rep for SCI, which, so that's why we're trying to start one down in Rochester. There's a group down there that they don't have chapters, so they're not affiliated with anything. I myself am a member of multiple chapters. I'm a member out in Michigan. I got a couple friends out in Michigan that have roped me into being in chapters out there. So, at the end of the day, how does it work? We all have our own events. I think the old SCI probably had a little competition between the chapters. I've personally tried to break that down, especially with the local ones, kind of like, partnering with MDHA, right? We're all on the same team.
Right.
We're all fighting for the same thing. Competing against each other
Absolutely.
it's not going to win. And especially in Minnesota, we're competing against the same resources, the same pool of people. So there's only so many of them. So, we got to work together. So we share a lot of things from different ideas of how to run our banquets and whatnot. At the end of the day, we generate money. So I guess one other thing is that the chapter levels, that money stays locally. So we support trap teams. We support the DNR. We support handicapped. We support some school programs. We support I'm forgetting a few. We've got 3 scholarships we give to. One is Hamlin University. One is to a tech school up in northern Minnesota. And the third one, it's not dedicated to any specific school, but it's all in the outdoor space. So that's what we do as a chapter locally. But then we have to give a certain amount of that money to the national SCI group, which then in turn takes it to Washington and everywhere else. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So memberships, what does a membership to SCI cost, and what are some of the perks that come along with that membership?
Yeah, I push that every day. Why do you want to be a member of SCI? What's the bonus? That's a great question. As far as SCI goes as a whole, you got to be a member of SCI National to become a chapter member. You can't be just a chapter member. So your perks are it's similar to like NRA. There's some benefits from an insurance standpoint. Of course, we have our big banquets and things like that then you can in turn attend. Generally, you have to be a member to attend a lot of the banquets, especially like the national convention that we now host down in Nashville. You just have access to a lot of different outdoor spaces, a lot of outfitters. We have kind of an approved outfitter list. So if you want to verify that an outfitter you might be going with and want to book a hunt with is good, it might be, if it's SCI approved, you can verify that. We have our own trophy or record book. So SCI has a separate book. It's called Record Book. The measurements are the same as you might do for Pope and Young or Boone and Crockett for whitetails, for example. The only difference with SCI is SCI counts everything. We do no deductions. The other thing SCI does is we literally have a record book for every single animal on the planet. So lions, gators, crocs, kudu, eland, whatever, something from one of the stands, whatever, we have a record book that contains literally every single animal. And so that's a unique part of SCI. And all that money that goes into our record book goes straight back to conservation, which is a little bit unique too. So SCI has a side thing, I always call it, that's called SCI Foundation. So all money that you generate through the record book goes straight to the foundation, which goes straight to conservation efforts. One of them being wolves, which we'll probably talk about at some point. One of them is the leopard program we're doing in Africa right now, because for example, in Africa, they listed the leopard as something that they don't want to hunt anymore. So that's a program they're trying to figure out and generate that there really are more leopards than people think. So we do a lot of those types of programs around the world through the foundation, which a lot of that funding comes out of Record Book.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys did. I was looking at the website earlier and the conservation projects. I guess I didn't realize you guys did as many of those. And I know there was one recently that you guys have done, because there's a picture of all the different groups that were on it. Pheasants Forever. I want to say Ducks Unlimited.
We partnered with Pheasants Forever last year. Again, one of the things I keep pushing is this partnership piece, right? Again, we're all on the same team. And I think all of us groups, I think, have been guilty of just kind of focusing on our own efforts. So we partnered with Pheasants Forever last year, very similar to how we want to kind of work with you guys. So we've dedicated a certain amount of money that we're going to give to Pheasants Forever every single year for, I don't know how long we'll be able to do it, but hopefully forever if we can keep generating the funds. And that's to help them buy land. Again, at the end of the day, it's all about game conservation. So, we're giving them $20,000 every single year to buy land. So that's part of what we'll be auctioning off this weekend at our expo. That's where we generate most of the funds for that. And then we in turn, give it to them to buy land. And it's just another way to partner and keep our hunting rights and different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is great. So I know you mentioned wolves, and since you mentioned it, we might as well talk about it a little bit. Obviously, that's a important topic for MDHA as well. And you, Minnesota chapter of SCI, kind of became a partner of MDHA this year.
Correct.
The conservation partnership. And I was curious, how do you see that helping wolf management? What can we do together to get wolf management in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think I don't have all the answers. I'll be totally honest with you. I think as we're just getting our relationship going, we're going to have to figure that out together. What does that mean?
Right.
I can tell you that we have the backing on the SCI side. As soon as our conservation partnership kicked off, I reached out to one of our lawyers at SCI, who is a great guy. He'd be also great to bring on and talk about this at some point. Maybe not on a podcast, but just person to person.
Right.
His name's Chris Tymason. As soon as I said wolves, he said, there's a new bill released today, right? And that was on January 31st, I think, or something like that. And I said, no, I didn't actually know that. And so that's when I sent that over to you, Jim. And so from the national level, we're trying to do that. I know at the local level, we're trying to do that, and I think the national level is only going to be part of the equation, right?
Right.
Getting
Sure.
Getting them delisted is not going to guarantee that we can manage the wolves at the state level. I don't think. So we got a lot of work to do. We need to figure out how to do that. Is it funding? Is it just a louder voice? Is it a bigger voice? Is it getting some of our lawyers that we have on staff and bringing them on board with us collectively and doing it?
Right.
I don't know the answer, but I'm trying to get us the resources, which, and then more voices, the better. And you guys
absolutely.
are great.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and with an organization as large as SCI and even MDHA, within Minnesota,
right,
working together on this is going to be a huge help. And it really goes to show that this battle has been going on, since the beginning. Right, to try to get wolf management, permanent, sustainable wolf management in the state of Minnesota, and nobody's been able to get that to happen. And I think kind of what you're speaking to is that there has been a little bit of divisiveness within that movement, and really we need to all come together and get that focused mission, those coalitions built around this, and pool our resources to get this permanent, sustainable change.
Right.
100% agree. Yep.
Absolutely. I think it's really the only way it's going to happen.
Right.
Is if we all work together to the best of our abilities and with our resources that we all have.
Yeah, and the plus side is with SCI, you had said you had Wisconsin chapters, Michigan chapters.
Yep.
Well, that's a big help, on getting it delisted federally, because you guys have the resources for that and the advocacy at the federal level. That we don't have that big a pull, at the federal level.
We're definitely active, in contacting our federal elected officials, but we don't have, the legal resources or the lobbying resources at that level. We more operate at the state level.
Right.
Yeah. So a little note. So our chapter has a couple. The name's Armand and Mary Brockman. So I don't know if they're founding members of the Minnesota itself chapter, but they've been members of the Minnesota chapter for a really long time. Very successful businessman here locally. And he's since retired. He's a great guy, and she's a lovely lady. They actually helped fund our building, SCI's building in Washington, D.C. We actually have a building now that we own right across the street from, the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
That we now can, we don't have to go back and forth. We don't have to guess for a place there. We own a place right across the street that we house a whole pool of people there. And that's new for us. That's been in the last I think it's only been about 2 years now, maybe 3, going on 3 probably. But from that federal standpoint, that's where SCI is the strongest at that national level.
Sounds like it for sure.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That is. I think MDHA needs to get a building across from the Capitol.
Right.
Well,
In Minnesota.
State, yeah,
In Minnesota.
state capital.
You guys can live there. I'm not gonna.
I never said I was going to live there. Okay, we'll get it outside, but
We can just use our Eric, our lobbyist. We'll just use his office.
Oh, there you go. I'm sure
Yeah,
I'll
throw
just
a
let
cot
it
on the
crash
floor.
there.
yeah,
no problem.
exactly. That's pretty cool.
Awesome. So, Tony, I would like to know a little bit more about you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a hunter. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And you hunt in Minnesota, right? I mean,
I do.
obviously from the mount on your wall, which is a Cape Buffalo.
Yeah.
You obviously go outside of Minnesota, too.
No, that came out of Lake Itasca.
Oh, I did. Okay. I forgot about that small population.
That wild Cape Buffalo.
So, do you rifle hunt and bow hunt, or just one or the other?
Yeah, good question. And my team. So, tiny funny story for today. So, I have a European mount of a springbuck in my office at my quote unquote real job that people don't think I actually work for a living. They think I hunt all the time. No, I do work for a living actually, which is I do that so I can actually go hunting. But I told my team today I got to leave early because I got to do this podcast. And they said, "Tell me you're not talking about hunting." And I said, "Of course I'm talking about hunting." They go, "How long are you going to be on?" I said, "I thought it was just going to be like 10, 15 minutes, but it sounds like I get to talk for an hour and a half." I said, "Well, make sure you tell them to shut you up after for sure an hour."
No.
So yeah, to answer your question, I grew up in Stillwater, Minnesota, and my dad gave me a bow before I could remember, and I've always loved archery. Period. Not that I have a rifle hunt. I've done a lot of rifle hunting here in Minnesota, Wisconsin. Kansas is one of my favorite states too. I've done quite a bit down there as well. I train gun dogs on the side, so I do some bird hunting too, and things like that. But really, honestly, my passion is archery. I'm currently married with 2 kids, and prior to that, I was married, and my wife at that time wanted to go to Africa, and so did my dad. It was not something I wanted to do. And unfortunately, my wife got sick in 2008, and she died in early 2009.
Gosh.
And my parents still agreed to go on this Africa trip with me, and I thought, okay, that's fine. It'll probably be good to go and whatever. And so I went to Africa in 2009, September to be exact, and I absolutely fell in love with Africa. So yes, I've been to Africa numerous times. I've actually hunted archery on 4 continents. Anywhere from South America, New Zealand, obviously Africa. I think 4 countries in Africa now I've been to: Mozambique, South Africa, Mauritius, and Botswana. But I'm actually with SCI, and I talked a little bit about the record book. I love like these super slams. Okay, if Tom Miranda's listening, or if anybody's listening, you can laugh at this joke. If my wife hears this, she's going to just shake her head. But I try to pretend I'm the Tom Miranda of Anoka County. So I'm working on the Africa 29 with my bow, and I'm 20 animals in. It's taken me a lot of years to get there, and I've got, I don't know, like 40 some animals in the SCI record book. I got some Pope and Young animals too from here locally, and different things, a bear and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Wow.
So I love the record book stuff. I love archery hunting. No, I don't shoot very many big bucks, but the Africa stuff is a lot of fun. It's a great place to go. For bang for your buck, it's a fantastic way to go and spend your money and have an absolutely awesome time. So
Really?
that's a high level view anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we were just down at the Duluth Sports Show, and there was a bunch of African outfitters there.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see their booths.
Yeah.
It's always one of those things you think about, but you're like, is that attainable? I don't know.
Right.
Well,
I can tell you it's attainable. Actually, at 4:30 today, when we wrap up, I'm hosting every year this time of year, right before our expo. So I actually book hunts for Africa and New Zealand. I actually have just hooked up with. That's going to sound terrible. I didn't hook up with the lady. Sorry, people, but a really nice lady who actually books hunts and wants a little bit of help for finding people to hunt in like places like Morocco. And I mentioned the stands like Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan and all those places. And I've not been to those types of places, but there's some great animals to hunt if you're of a different maybe job level than I'm at, but they sound like fun, a little out of my price range. But point being, so I have an Africa party tonight that I have people that come, and every year we get their trips all booked and whatnot for going to Africa. So very attainable for anybody. And I always say this: everybody should go to Africa one time in their life. It's very attainable. You can do it. It's not that bad. The worst part is deciding to jump on the plane and flying over there. That's the worst part. Once you get there, I guarantee you'll want to go back. I haven't heard anybody that said they would never go back. It's truly an awesome place.
Huh. That would be cool.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I can't either.
And next year, you guys have to come to the Africa party.
Hey, sounds like fun. Sounds like a party I'd like to go to.
Right. Well, I know we have a couple MDHA members that are up in this area, and I think they belong to, it must be the Superior chapter of SCI.
Probably, sure.
And at the banquet last year, I don't know if it was a silent auction or a raffle or what, but they ended up getting a trip over to Africa. And yeah, they fell in love, and it sounds like they're already planning on when and how they can go back.
Yeah.
I think they took 3 animals over
I
there.
think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure what, but
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
Those
of
African outfitters give away that first trip. They do it on purpose, so they're smart.
Right.
You buy them at the auctions. You can buy a package of 7-day safari, 2 wildebeest, couple impala or something like that, 2 people, or 2 hunters, 2 non-hunters, and they throw the whole thing in for free. And they donate whatever money is generated on those auctions. They'll donate it to whatever chapter or whatever organization. And it's awesome because they're super smart about it. You know why? Because you're going to go there, you're going to fall in love, and you're going back. So it's just an investment into the future. It's brilliant.
No doubt. Yeah, because you guys are having an auction right now, an online auction, right? I think I've seen some links.
Yeah, our online auctions, we kicked that off maybe last week. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have a live auction both Friday night and Saturday night.
Okay.
So those online auctions then in turn to live auctions. When we do Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
Right, because you guys' big event in the state is this weekend too, right?
Yep, it's our 49th. It actually should be our 50th, but COVID took away one of them, so we're calling it our 49th. World Hunting Expo. Yep. So we've got, I don't know how many, 70-some exhibitors coming this weekend. So we've got, it's like a mini sports show, right?
Yep.
We've got Africa outfitters, we've got New Zealand, we've got local artists, we've got jewelry makers, we got wine, we got everything, we got games, we give away guns and raffles and bows and all that stuff. And of course, then in the evening event, so during the day, it's public hours. Come enjoy and walk the show, whatever. It's worth the walk. It's pretty entertaining. And then at night we have a plated meal, really pretty nice plated meal we do. I forget what the first night is, but I know the second night is elk tenderloin, sea bass, and wild boar.
Dang.
Pretty fancy, yeah. And then after that, we've got the live auction that'll kick off. We're going to I'm talking a lot of MDHA stuff both nights to the group.
Awesome.
We got almost 300 people so far for Saturday night, and I forget how many people. There's quite a few hundred coming on Friday night too. But anyway, we'll auction off everything that we've got. We've got 107-ish items we're auctioning off.
Nice.
So, fishing trips, swing trips.
I don't know, for that meal, I think I may be going to the cities this
I
weekend,
know.
boys.
That is tempting, that meal.
I'm going to call the board and let them know I have to miss this
Yeah,
weekend.
sorry, guys, we're not going to make it. There's some better food somewhere else.
We got to figure out. So our event's on a different weekend next year. Maybe we can figure out.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be,
whatever we got
because
going on, I want to come.
yeah, exactly. I think it'd be really cool to go down to that one. I know Chris at Art Barbarians. He's always down there for you guys. So Chris does all of our framing and hooks us up with our print of the year artists and stuff like that. So
they have a big booth at our event.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that'd be really cool to see and whatnot.
So do you guys do that exotic food like that every year?
We've gotten better. We're actually known for having terrible food. I mentioned I've been part of lots of different chapters, and I still remain part of different chapters. I hated this chapter's food. I quit going to the event because the food was so bad. And then I finally joined the board, and I'm not saying I'm not taking credit for improving the food, but that was my number one complaint was our food. And we have since improved it.
It sounds like it. Elk tenderloin, man.
Right.
It's pretty good. I can't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we're going to, what is it? Lake Country Shooting Sports?
Yeah.
I believe it is.
March 1st?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, down in Brainerd. And yeah, their meal is a big wild game feed as well.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. Another talking about partnerships, trying to work together on this. I mean, we all have the same mission, which is wildlife conservation, getting people outdoors, protecting the future of hunting, right? Mm-hmm. The tradition of hunting that we all love. And the more we can work together and collaborate, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally agree. I full-heartedly admit I cannot believe, and I apologize to this. So I'm editor of our magazine. It's not a huge. I think I sent you guys a copy. Hopefully you got it.
Yeah, I think we got an issue.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll keep sending it to you guys. But
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry I didn't join MDHA earlier. I don't know why I never did. I think it's just because I got involved with other things. But what a great organization! My kids are now members. I just signed my daughter up for Four Corner Camp 1 the other day. So
that is great. That is great.
So, yeah, what a great stuff we got going on.
Right. Well, no, I mean, you kind of spoke to this earlier too. Is all of these organizations kind of get stereotyped, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's too many people that when they hear SCI, they think of the whole Cecil the Lion,
They do.
fiasco,
Right. Yep.
And like they hear MDHA and they think old man's rifle hunting group,
Orange Army.
And we both do so much more. We do more work than we could ever cover in 1,000 episodes of this podcast.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you got the new bow hunter thing going on.
We do.
Yeah, we're working on that. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm joining that. I got to join. I'm sorry I haven't yet.
That's okay. It's pretty new, and we're just kind of getting that, on its feet right now.
Right.
Yeah, and
I'm going to be a bigger part of that for sure, because whatever you got going on there, I want to
Absolutely. Sign up.
I think it'd be great. Yeah, get you on as an advisor. I mean, I know you've got hats in every different aspect, but I mean that'd be great to have you on as that too.
Well, my term as president only goes for another year or so, so I'll have time after that because I can't be president or on the board, which is totally okay. So I think I can open myself up to some of this stuff. Bow hunting is a huge passion of mine, so
right.
I definitely
too,
would love to be on that. So.
Well, then, kind of getting back to Jared's thing, we're at stereotype, SCI. I always thought the same thing. Well, that's all African or other countries that I would never, I mean, yeah, it'd be cool, but not obtainable for me. But after talking to you, to where it is obtainable, for just people don't realize it. But it's like, I want to do more hunting even within the states and travel more. And sounds like that might be something that SCI can obviously, help facilitate and whatnot. So.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a member, for sure.
We've got all the auctions, which, they're all online now, which actually I think deters from getting people into the room, but you saw the online auction. You can go on to that online auction and there's, I don't know how many dozens probably going on this weekend, right, for different chapters and different events. And, some people say you can go on there and buy great deals on hunts. It's true. It just, it's an auction, right? Depends on who's bidding and who isn't bidding and who wants what, So, you can find great deals on hunts. You just have such a bigger pool to pull from for those types of things, right? And when they're SCI supported, that they're good outfitters. You're not going to get into a bad situation. So
that's
right.
Nice to know.
Yeah, because if I go to Africa, I don't want to be eaten by a leopard or something. That'd be my luck. Nobody ever got attacked by a lion or leopard in 40 years of this, but I go there one time and I lose a foot.
Right.
Or leg.
You'll make the news,
right?
Be a good podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess one thing you mentioned earlier, I'd like to get back to is you mentioned this place in the middle of the country.
This horrible.
Not many good things come from there.
The place is fine, but the people
What's it called again?
The people that leave that place
are
terrible.
Questionable at best.
Yeah,
Kansas, wasn't it?
I knew where you were going with that one. Jackass.
What's so good about that place?
Right.
I had no idea where you were going.
I knew where he was going.
He's from Kansas.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're heading back down there in 3-4 weeks, something like that.
Like that. Into
36 days, I think.
36
Wow,
days.
you got it.
Well,
Yeah.
my daughter's going to Hawaii the same day, so she's counting down. So I'm just like, I'm going to Kansas that day. So
Yeah. We do an annual coyote hunt down there. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what
I
part
love Kansas. This is a great state. I think South Dakota is probably the most underrated, personally, from a deer hunting state. But Kansas is a great state. Great pheasants, quail.
Yeah.
Of course, the deer population is pretty good. I don't know too many parts of Kansas that I would say are bad for deer. I don't know. I won't tell you any. I won't bore you with stories. I enjoy Kansas.
Oh yeah, we do too.
Where do you typically go around in Kansas to hunt at?
A lot around Dodge City, so that southwest corner.
Yep. We're an hour and a half east of Dodge City and an hour and a half west of Wichita and just a little bit south. So I'm smack dab in the middle. You probably drove through Pratt, or anything like that. So we're actually just south of that by about a half hour.
Okay. Yeah, I go to Kansas almost twice a year. So if I go deer hunting in the fall, I'll also so my good friend down there is a Lutheran pastor, and which is a great friend to have in Kansas, I will say.
Yeah.
And so we go down there in January and we do that late season pheasant hunt down there. So yep.
Yeah, we're gonna go for coyotes. Did we say that?
I've shot a down there.
Yeah, I didn't check. Did we? I know last year we had talked about seeing if we could overlap with the turkey season.
I think it's still later.
Early.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think it's still a few weeks later.
Yeah, because we're going a week earlier this year, and it was the weekend after we left last year.
Yep, it was.
Next time.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is down there in the spring, you never know what you're going to get for temps. Last year we 80 degrees or something like that. So the coyotes were just, their pellets were just horrible. To where we decided, well, let's go earlier. We might get lucky with some colder temps, or cooler, I should say, not cold.
Right.
Although I just talked to the folks the other day, and they were complaining, it's going to get cold the next few days. I was like, cold? He goes, I know. It's not as cold as you are, but it's cold for down here.
What was cold?
60?
No, they were getting down to like teens.
Oh, wow. All right.
And, maybe some single digits for a little bit, but definitely teens. Anything over a few days consistent is just not, it's not normal.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, nothing like us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it'll be a nice little break. I'm hoping it'll be kind of chilly here and then a little bit warmer down there.
That'd be great.
Maybe not as warm as it was last year.
They actually had snow the other day. They're supposed to get snow today or tomorrow, too. Obviously not a lot, but...
Yeah. Well, so we've been talking a lot about partnerships. I guess what prompted the MDHA partnership? And, let's start there.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I can go down a couple paths there. Let me just start with, you know what? I'm just going to take this head on. Last year, we tried to kind of partner with Hunters for Hunters, kind of around the same thing, the whole delisting of the wolf. Somehow I don't know what happened, why we didn't with you guys. I don't know. I don't remember what happened. I don't know if I reached out. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. So we tried to kind of partner with them. We did a town hall with them. And it really came down to the wolf factor, because we were kind of all on the same page, trying to kind of with the same mission. It just never really gelled real well. Again, we tried. And then, getting into this year, I guess it was later last year when we kind of connected. Right. I saw you guys were making a little more of a push on the wolf side, and that's when I'm like, okay, we've got to figure out how we can connect and make that happen. And simple answer is I sent you guys an email, and you responded, I think, in the same day.
Absolutely.
And we got something going. It took us a little bit to get something going, but I think hunting season was probably in my way. And anyway, long story short, we connected. We had, I thought, a good introductory meeting, and we've just stayed connected ever since. And we figured out how to make this conservation partnership work. And we're excited to auction off that rifle this weekend. And we're planning to split the proceeds with you guys on that, so we can give back to you guys to however you guys want to do it. If you have a separate wolf fund, then take that money, put it to the wolf fund. Whatever we generate, we're splitting it with you. That's what it comes down to. So hopefully we do well with that. Again, just looking for that long-term partnership relationship, and I think we've got it. I feel really good about it. We stayed really connected. So we have a lot to figure out. I don't think any of us have the answers to how to solve the problem, but we're on the same team. We just pool the resources and figure out how we get there. And I'm not a legislator. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a guy, but I know people, and that can help a little bit. So
yeah. Well, I would echo what you just said, and we're very excited about this too, and we think this will be a very long-term partnership. Hopefully not too long working on the wolf issue. We need to make progress on that one.
Right.
But there's plenty more issues out there for us to tackle.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you guys got the Fork Horn program. We sponsor a lot of youth in the outdoors. We'll find another way to partner. I'm not even worried about them.
Yeah,
so we got the same missions. We're heading the same way, and there's no reason that we can't just partner and do the same things. We're a little more global on some things, but we're very local. So,
well, there's nothing wrong with being global. I mean, a lot of, like, speaking of the Fork Horn camps, I mean, it's great to teach them about global things too. I mean, it's nice to have it in our own little corner here in Minnesota, but there's nothing wrong with expanding it too.
Yep. Agree.
No, and it sure sounds like a lot of, what SCI does and what we do are so closely aligned. Every, your conservation, advocacy, scholarships, you have your magazine, Hunters' Rights and everything. I mean, it's an echo of what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
And your money stays local for your Minnesota chapter. Mm-hmm. So, that, you can't say that a lot about some of the other organizations.
That's true.
That if they're, nationwide,
right,
only a small portion may stay local, but the rest of it goes back to where, at least with you guys and us, obviously everything stays local.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, we don't, I'm not paid. I work as a volunteer, and so does the whole board, so at the local level for sure. I mentioned I was a regional rep. I don't get paid for that either. That's all volunteer work. So my whole point in that is SCI is not made up of collecting a lot of money to pay big salaries. We're truly giving all that money back in one way, shape, or form. Yes, there are people paid money at the national level because they should be.
Right.
That's a real true full-time job. But it's made up of a lot of volunteers, which I believe your chapters are too, or our chapters. I'm part of MDHA.
Yeah. All of our chapters are volunteer run. We have the state office here in Grand Rapids with a handful of paid employees, but we really
somebody's got to get paid to run the place. It's just
exactly.
Just what it is. That's totally okay.
Yeah.
So you guys probably have a lot of big sponsors and pretty well-known people that come to your events and just kind of all over.
At the national level, yeah, we are. It's pretty cool. So our national event was, when was that? January, I guess, 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, you can just walk up and meet Jim Shockey. If you're
That's
big into outfits, it's pretty neat. Pat and Nicole Reeve, who are local here in Minnesota, they're great also. They actually come to our chapter event. They're fantastic people. They'd be great to have on a podcast if you haven't. I'm sure they would jump right on.
Yeah.
They're just fantastic people. Again, I don't know if you like outdoor celebrities in this group, but they're great advocates for the sport.
Right, exactly.
Pat's really passionate about the wolf conservation side of it too. He actually joined our town hall last year when we did it with Hunters for Hunters. So yeah, from an outdoor celebrity standpoint, we have a lot. They're everywhere, but also just celebrities in general in the SCI. It's amazing how many people hunt. You kind of forget that, country stars and rock stars, and they're walking the floor down there. I mean, at the Nashville event, I know one day there was over 19,000 people walking the floor. Well, it's a 5-day event. So, that's a lot of people just one day walking the floor. And that wasn't the busiest of the days. So there's a lot of people. And so at the local level, we're well supported, but we don't have sponsors really. We fund ourselves well. We have good hunts, good things that we auction off that get us the money generated to put on the event and give back as we need. But no, we don't have like corporate sponsors. It's not like a Shields or anybody gives us money. We generate everything from the ground up. So, it's not, we don't have sponsors. I can't say we do. So.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, it's great that you guys can raise that kind of funding to do the things that you do. That's impressive, actually. Without those partners.
A lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet it does take a lot of work. Yeah,
I would agree for sure. So what other events do you guys have coming up outside of the one this weekend? Anything in this summer, I should say?
This is our big one.
Right.
We're trying to put on another summer event. Usually we have go to somebody that has a big taxidermy collection, and we do a barbecue.
Okay.
And try to bring members in, and we try to expand that to beyond membership as well. We don't have one locked in yet, so I'm trying to work on that too. But that's kind of a fun. So a trophy room tour barbecue is one of our other summer events typically. We're trying to put together another, kind of a small expo type thing.
Okay.
We do some local just happy hours where we try to bring people in. We pay for a happy hour for people to come and just talk hunting and SCI with us. And we'll be at the Turkey and Deer Classic.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
We have a booth. Yeah. I'll stop by. Gordon Jensen is our guy that runs all those events. So we do Game Fair, we do Pheasants Fest, we do the Deer Classic. But this is really our big fun generator that we do. We've had a couple other ones, but typically this is really the only big event that we do. So.
Okay.
So speaking of trophy rooms, what else do you have in that place of yours? This
is my office, and it's the only thing I have in my office.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to show us, but you could tell us about it.
Yeah.
Tell us about what?
Well, what you got? You must have some other mounts in that house.
Yeah. I mean, I've done some stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got 20 animals from Africa that are in the Africa 29, but I've shot a lot more than that. I mean, so I've got a handful of impala. I'll openly admit I have a lion.
Okay.
Oftentimes people ask me more specific to what's your scariest hunt versus what's your most exciting or what's the coolest thing you've hunted, and that's a hard one to answer. But I always say the lion hunt with a bow and arrow was the scariest thing I ever did.
That sounds scary.
It was the scariest thing I ever did. Walked it for 3 days. It's a long story. We'll tell it another time. I don't want people to burn my house down.
Well, we don't either. We don't either.
It was a conservation hunt. All my stuff is conservation related.
Right.
It was an old lion, and they really do a really nice job to make sure that you're not harvesting something that's old. So they find the lions that are old and need to be harvested out of the pride type thing. And it was really cool. I darted a rhino 2 years ago. That was pretty cool.
That would be cool.
So for me, I work in operations and manufacturing typically. So I have a little engineering background, and so figuring out how to make an arrow into a dart to dart a rhino was kind of a cool experience. So 2 years I darted a rhino. So it was cool. It was a green hunt, right? So you dart it runs off, and you find it because I got to walk with it, and I'll never forget that either. It was pretty neat because the guy, his name was, we call him Rambo, but his name's Alexander. He goes, Sir, go put your hand over his eye and grab his horn and walk with it. And I'm like, what? Yeah. But I did it, and it was pretty cool. And then you push it down, and then they take the measurements, and they make sure it's got an RFID chip in the horn in case it ever gets poached or something like that. So that's pretty cool. I've got a sable. I've got a roost deer from the island of Mauritius, which is another African country off the coast of Madagascar. Absolutely fantastic place to go. There's a lot of stuff here. There's some tiny animals. There's some big animals. I think I got like 60 some mounts, maybe. Something like that. I don't know.
So you
just have a whole house and mounts.
So to quote my daughter, my daughter's funnier than heck. My son's funny too. My son is actually funnier than my daughter. My daughter loves to talk about the animals, and she's like, yeah, they're just kind of all over the house. And there's like, hundreds of them. Well, there's not hundreds.
I have trouble just trying to mount 2 deer in my house, and then I said, I need to get another one because the 2 mounts I have I wasn't thinking because in our old house, it didn't matter which way they were facing. Well, it turns out they're both facing the same direction. I can't put them. Now I've got a nice peak in the new house. Well, I can't put them both up because they both be facing left. One's facing left, one facing right. It's like, oh, I should have thought about that, but
you got to plan ahead on that stuff.
I know. Right? So I guess it just means that I have to get another one.
Right.
I'll be honest with taxidermy. Odd numbers. When you put things together on the wall, odd numbers looks best.
See?
So you definitely need another one.
Right. At least 4 or 5 more.
And then 2 more beyond that. You got to keep the number.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it too. So I'm working on it.
Right.
Well. My wife was a non-hunter, and so she never hunted. She ate wild game. That was fine when we were dating and whatnot. And then she became a hunter in Africa of all places. So
cool.
She spent the whole summer learning how to shoot, and now she became a hunter. She actually wasn't going to go, and then long story short, I saw her on a truck with a 30-06. So she said, "I'm going hunting." I'm like, "You're doing what?" She said, "I'm going hunting." And I said, "Okay." So she shot her own impala. It was her first animal, and so she became a hunter. So my taxidermy, the real point of my story is the taxidermy is kind of a problem right now because it was just me, and now I've got her.
Oh yeah.
Issues. So it's changed the billing a little bit, so I have to back off, or we do more Euro mounts or something because there's only so much room. So.
I don't know. I think that would be a good problem to have.
It would be definitely a different one to have for sure.
Not complaining. Having your wife hunt is kind of a cool thing. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty cool.
Well, my wife told me that she was going to get into hunting. She's never hunted in her life. So she told me this summer, she said, "Yeah, or this fall, she said, I'm going to start hunting." And I was like, "Great, let's go to the range. I'll teach you how to shoot. We'll get you a gun that works well for you."
Yeah.
She goes, "No, I don't need a gun." I was like, "Oh, you want to get a bow?" She was like, "No, I don't need a weapon." And I was like, what do you mean? I thought you were going to hunt. And she was like, "No, I'm just going to go sit in the woods for hours and get nothing like you and get a break from the kids."
I see how it is.
That does happen.
Right? It does happen.
My wife hunted when she was younger, and then she had an accident and she got out of hunting. And so then when I moved here and started archery hunting, she's like, "I think I could do archery." It's like, "All right, let's get you a bow." So we went to the local shop and got her a bow and started shooting a little bit. Well, then she ended up getting pregnant, and then we had her son, and she's never been hunting with me since.
Yeah.
But those were when I was going to Kansas like every year. For a couple of years, she goes, "Oh, it'd be nice to hunt down here with you." I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." But, I don't know. She got pregnant.
I don't know who knows how that happens?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
And then she got to the cup, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the kids love to hunt. My daughter hunts, or she did for a couple of years. Got my boy into hunting and whatnot. So hopefully get him more in archery. Right now is big into rifles, which is cool. So
Thanks to Four Corn Camps.
yes, Four Corn Camp 1 and 2, Deep Portage. Thanks to that. So yeah,
I wish I could go to that camp. It does sound awesome.
It
I do
is
too.
a
I want to
fun
be
camp.
a counselor. I think that'd be fun.
They all seem to really enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah,
How
because
can you not? It looks fantastic.
it is. My son went there 2 years. My daughter went there 1 year. It was a great place.
Well, we
Great
said they
place.
should do an adult camp because then they were
Right.
talking about all the stuff they do, and then even at Four Corn 3, and there was a bird hunting camp.
Yep.
Afterwards or something, and a fishing camp.
Yeah,
It's like I just want to live here all summer.
Right?
yeah. Good food too here.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
a lot of
nice.
fun.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
pretty cool. So you said you got your daughter signed up for Four Corn 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Do you know what camp you got her signed up for? Or?
The Grand Portage one. Yep. June 8th,
Nice.
I think she starts. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Portage.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
That's
It's a great camp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's excited. She was a little bit nervous. I'm like, "Honey, I will go in your place if you want." Right?
Right,
Doing-
yeah.
Oh, I get to do survival stuff? I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
That's what it says.
Yep.
Survival,
Yeah.
orienteering.
Map
All
making,
kids are nervous
canoeing.
at first, obviously, and it is kind of a shock to the system if they don't do anything like that or have been away from home. But my kid
She's fine.
didn't have any trouble. Yeah,
Yeah.
She goes to different camps, different times. This will just be one that she's like, she hasn't been to a camp where she doesn't know anybody initially, but I mean,
Right.
they're all going to be in the same situation.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
It'll be fun.
yeah,
No, they all get along pretty good.
yeah. And hopefully, she can go to do it again, Four Corn 2 and even Four Corn 3, and it's kind of cool to even. I know when we go to pick the kids up, you see obviously we see some of the parents through chapter stuff, all the time and whatnot, and then the same kids go back to the same camp typically the second year, so then to see them again, and that's always kind of fun.
Yeah.
Always kind of
Yeah.
neat. So
I'm sure
Yeah,
she'll
that's
want to
cool.
go again. It's right up her alley. So
Right.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, she likes to shoot deer. She's really gotten into that too. I don't want to bring up crossbows as a controversial thing, but I will say, it's been great for getting my kids into hunting. I will totally admit that.
Yep.
It's so anybody that hates them, I get it, but at the end of the day, they really are nice for introducing kids to the world of hunting. So
Yeah.
It's a game changer. She was just too little to shoot a rifle. She's not very big framed. It just is what she is. So
Right.
you know, the crossbow was allowed her to go hunting, and it's awesome. So
Yeah, you know, and we hear that all the time. And is a crossbow for me? No. Does it mean I don't think you should be able to buy one? No. It's like, am I ever going to buy a Tesla Cybertruck? No.
Right.
Do I think that should prevent you from buying one?
No.
No. Am I going to make fun of you?
Probably.
Yes.
Am I going to buy a 6.5 Creedmoor? No. But it's okay that you own one, Jerry.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Oh, shit, you
and I've
got
completely flipped on it. I was very anti the whole thing, but I'll have to admit, after watching the transition of the kids, I'm like, okay, there's definitely a place for this. And, you know,
I think so
it's a
too.
great thing. And going back to we're all on the same team, you know, we're not growing the sport. You know, at the end of the day, it's you know, we're not growing the sport. There's not enough people coming in. I don't think.
Exactly. So, and if we're going to spend our time,
make a difference.
Right.
Bring them on.
Exactly. If this is a way to at least get them introduced, so say even the first couple of years they shoot a crossbow, and then that leads into, you know, your vertical bow and or your rifle.
Right.
If that crossbow
Win-win.
wasn't there, they might not have gotten into hunting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear it all the
agree.
time with firearms too. You know,
Yeah.
you get your kids set up with their scope 243. They take their first deer, and then a little bit later on, maybe I want to try iron sights. You know, make up the difficulty a little bit more, and then down the road, maybe I want to try a flintlock. You know, and up that difficulty a little bit more. I know so many people that have done that path, and if crossbows can get them to that path where, you know, 10 years from now they're out there with an atlatl. Great.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Well, and even shotguns, you know, same thing. They get into bird hunting, don't really, you know, care about deer at first, but it's another avenue into the sport.
Exactly.
You know,
You can't take those away.
No.
Right.
There's so few of them anymore anyway.
Right. And what's the number one predictor of a first-time hunter coming back and continuing in that tradition? A successful hunt.
Yep.
Yes.
So let's up that success rate for those young hunters, those first-time hunters. And crossbows are a way to do that.
And make it enjoyable, just like the youth season. You know, it's in October.
Yep.
It's typically, you know, more
Over MEA.
fair weather, you know, typically. So it gets those kids a good opportunity when it's easier to get into that.
So and it gives us the opportunity to focus on those
Yes.
kids.
Rather
We're
than
not focusing on our own hunt.
correct, you know, opening weekend or, you know, you never know what the weather's going to be. And it's like, okay, I need to get a deer. I need to get them a deer too.
Right.
I felt less pressure hunting with the kids in youth season than I ever did during regular season, because then it's like, well, gosh, now we need to for sure get a deer. But it's like, depending on, you know, my son's gun, you know, could only go a couple hundred yards. So it's like, well, gosh, if we see a deer at 500 yards, well, he's not going to shoot it. Well, so I'm going to. Well, is he going to be mad because I'm going to shoot the first deer and we may not see another one for a few more days? Or even the times, you know, when I can take off work, he's in school. Mm-hmm. Or the weekends, you know, then there's horrible weather. So, I mean, it's just another way to get the youth and other people into hunting.
Introduce.
Exactly.
And, yeah, absolutely. Because I think with the crossbow, that'd probably be about the only way I can get my younger daughter into hunting. Because she's not a fan of guns. But she has shown some interest in archery. So I think that might be a great option. So just reiterating the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a place for them.
For
Simple as
sure.
that.
Totally is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Where it gets a little more gray for me is, should it be its own tag?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a discussion to have, I think.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Wisconsin charges like what, $7 if you want to use a crossbow. If it's about generating a couple more bucks, I don't care. I'll pay the $7 for my kids to do it. It's totally fine. You know, whatever.
Right.
You know, it can be it's whatever. I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right.
for me, it's more about the tracking, right?
Right.
I hate relying on self-reporting. It's just it's known to be unreliable. You know,
Yeah, just to know how it's affecting
right?
the hunting season in general. I mean, data is important.
Yep.
The more data you
That
have, the
should be an
better.
easy change at the state level, shouldn't it? I mean, if
You would think.
You would think
that
so.
way, you bought a muzzleloader license, a crossbow license, and a regular arch, whatever. It should be easy to just make that an option, I would think.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they got the new
Yeah.
online
coming out now,
system.
isn't it?
I believe it's
This year, right?
This
March,
season, right?
I believe it's March. Yeah.
Where you're doing everything online.
Yep.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Right.
I like to see how.
I love technology, so I'm looking forward to it. But
Yeah.
It won't break.
no, ever.
Nope.
Well,
I'm
they,
sure it won't have any issues.
they did do that like soft launch trial period where they sent it out to a few partners.
Oh, did they?
So I got to explore it, and answer
Oh,
this.
you've actually seen it.
Yeah, and it was very easy to navigate and use.
Big buttons.
Big buttons.
I love
Everything
big
was
buttons.
super obvious. You get on this, it's one page and it's, I'm here to buy a license. It's right there front and center, and it walks you through the whole thing. So hopefully they haven't changed too much, because people are going to see it now and it's going to be some like 1999 terrible website.
MS-DOS app. Yeah. No, that's cool. So anything else you'd like to cover, Tony?
Oh gosh, I mean, I no, I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the moment. This has been great. I just I truly am honestly super excited about all this. So I'm excited to figure out how we work together. I'm excited to do more podcasts if you'd like. I'm happy to come talk whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm happy to whatever.
We'll have you back whenever you're willing, for sure, to figure it all out.
Oh yeah, sounds like you are chock full of stories. So I'd love to.
I just want to hear about some Africa stories.
Me too.
And,
Me too.
and some cool hunts.
Yeah. What time does this Africa party start? We might be able to make it.
6 o'clock. Come on down.
6 o'clock. All right.
I ordered up some stroganoff for dinner.
Nice.
Perfect. Is that
There'll be plenty for the three of you guys.
Cape Buffalo Stroganoff?
Yeah, that sounds.
I do like to cook too. Yeah, we can talk cooking too. Whatever you guys
Hey,
want.
yeah,
Wild
sure.
game.
Love it.
Ironically, all we eat is wild game in this house.
Really?
Yeah.
I know.
You guys are cooks,
Us
and
too.
I like to eat,
Right.
obviously.
I
So
know. Jared keeps promising us he's going to cook all kinds of these specialty things, but he never does.
he does it after we leave. He tells us the whole time when we're fishing or whatever. He goes, "Yeah, tonight I'm going to make this and this and this." Like, dude, I got to go home.
Right.
Right.
But that's you leaving. I
Right.
made enough for you.
No, you've been meaning to feed us tongue and all kinds of other weird
Yeah, I
things.
know, but I wasn't able to get a deer this year.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to really hunt this year.
Right.
You're even eating deer tongue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it, supposedly.
I mean, it has a good flavor. I've not had deer tongue, but beef tongue. The flavor is fine. It's the texture. I struggle with the texture.
That's
Yeah, you
that's
gotta-
me and liver.
Oh, you braise it down, make some lengua tacos out of it. It's so good.
I don't even know how to spell what you just said. So
Spanish for tongue.
okay,
You probably had it at
tacos.
that Mexican restaurant and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
probably,
You probably
Yep,
did.
probably.
Yep.
I order off the the basic menu. Pictures. Yep, I want that one.
Well, that one looks good.
Yeah, that one looks good to me.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Well, Tony, we're really looking forward to working with you guys. I think we've got great things in the future, and we appreciate you taking the time to be on here with us tonight.
Great.
Yeah, thank you guys. This has been super fun, and I truly look forward to more. And yeah, this is great. And whenever we want to talk again, happy to. And then the partnership's going to be great, and I'll definitely report back how the expo went and how we auctioned off that rifle. Hopefully, it does really well.
Yeah, we're hoping so too.
We'll connect on that, and we'll figure it out going forward.
Yeah, we
good
got
luck at
lots
you
of-
guys' event this weekend too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It'll be a busy weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna be a busy week. It's already been a busy week.
Yeah, it's been a busy
And last
week. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, week after. So
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
pretty
much.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll absolutely be talking about wolves. I want to hear more about Africa. We can talk more about archery in Minnesota and cooking. I love to hear about cooking.
Yes.
I love it. Wild game's one of my favorite things to cook. So yeah, I'm all in.
Awesome. Great. I'm sure we can learn a
No
lot from
tongue on
you.
my end, but
yeah,
Yeah, me neither, but hey, everybody's got to. He shoots a 6.5 Creedmoor.
yeah. What do you expect?
Sometimes.
do you
That is not my only gun.
That is true.
I know.
Well, we appreciate it, Tony. We won't take up too much of your time.
And we're going to try and get this out before your event.
Yes.
I'm going to hopefully be able to edit it tonight so we can get it out and people learn a little bit more about your event. Because I know you do let some public in there. So,
Do we find it on the webpage, your webpage?
yes, I will post a link on for sure the Down the Barrel. And we'll share it on social media. So I'll make sure you get the link.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Guys, have a great one. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Tony.
Good luck
Appreciate
at the Africa party tonight. Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Minnesota bow hunters, building community, celebrating tradition, and driving change.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and wolf.report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.